Welcome to Ruby Thursday. I'm Melissa Wanish. We've decided to call the weekly shows RubySnack. So we're on our third week, and so this is RubySnack number 3. Today I'll be taking you through testing Devise with Factory Girl Rails and ffaker with 2 Fs. If you'd like to code along, you need to have a few things set up ahead of time. You need a Rails app created, RSpec installed and set up, and a home controller created with an index view. You can check out these videos to get those set up, the Get Launching To, Generating an App, and the DevGems demo, RSpec Rails. If you've been through the Get Launching series, then you already have the gem file set up with our development and test gems. If not, do go ahead and install Factory Girl Rails and ffaker in the group development test and bundle that. Moving on to today's topic, I'll be using Devise to show you how you can use Factory Girl Rails and ffaker to test something. So Devise is a flexible authentication solution for Rails based on Warden. It is rack-based, it is a complete MVC solution based on Rails engines, and allows you to have multiple models signed in at the same time, and is based on a modularity concept. Use only what you really need, which makes it a very popular authentication solution for Rails apps. So now taking a look at the GitHub site, there is what I basically read to you, and here's a listing of all the 10 modules that you can use or not use. That's why it's very popular. So this page has lots and lots of information. There is actually a full Devise wiki with lots of tutorials. So you can look up basically anything you want to do with Devise. So today I'm just going to do a little tiny slice of Devise in order to use it as an example for Factory Girl Rails and ffaker. But you can go here and check out everything you need to know about Devise. Moving on to Factory Girl Rails. Basically, Factory Girl makes versatile factories that you can use in your tests when making object instances. Factories are such a time saver and really minimizes the code that you need to make those objects before you can use them in your tests. Now, Factory Girl Rails automatically creates a standard factory when you generate a new model in Rails, and that saves you time. It makes the file for you so you can go in and modify it. So taking a brief look at the GitHub repository, there's just a little bit more explanation and a couple of configuration options if there's anything you want to change. Now to ffaker with 2 Fs, which is faster than ffaker, which is a library generating fake data such as names, addresses, and phone numbers. And today we'll be doing email addresses. It's great to have this fake data to make sure your app can handle all kinds of data. So looking briefly again at the GitHub page, there's just a little bit more information, also an explanation of why 2 Fs and not 1. They're basically the same, but I think that this one's a little bit more supported, and that's why I use this gem. All done with the explanation section, so let's now put everything into action. First, we need to set up Devise. We'll add the gem Devise to our gem file and bundle it. Then we'll run the generator to install Devise, and then we'll check out the initializer to see what things you can change. Opening up our text editor, we will open the gem file and add Devise to here. I'd like to add things just at the end. So gem Devise and save. And then we'll move into our terminal. I'm already in the Ruby Thursday folder, so be sure to be in your apps folder when you run bundle. And there will be a couple of dependencies installed as well in order to use Devise. So this is wrapping up here in just a moment. Great. Now let's go ahead and run the installer. So that's Rails generate Devise install. And that will put in everything you need to use Devise. And they give you a lovely little message here. Let's take a look at this. Just some reminders, and because there's lots of different configurations you can use with Devise. So you want to change your mailer. You want to be sure to have a route to home. That's important for it to know where to go after you sign up or sign in. And here's some notices that I'll use and some Rails 3.2. And then a way to generate the views if you want to change them for sign in and sign up and all that. Back to our text editor. Let's take a look at that configuration file. So that's in config, initializers, devise.rb, and we'll take a brief tour of this. There's lots in here. The most important one is probably if you will be using confirmation to set that mailer. And you'll see there's lots of things commented out that you can uncomment and use if you're using the different modules. So you want to be sure to look through those to see which ones you might or might not use. For example, you might change the length of the password, and that's where you would do that. So you can see it's a very full, very well documented initializer that you can change to suit your needs. Let's get to some testing. So here I've written a Signin Spec, and this will use ffaker to create a user. In our case, I'm going to say hacker instead of user. I think it's more fun to use a noun that really describes what the user is going to be. So now we're going to define a simple task. So we're going to fill in the sign-in fields. We're going to fill in the hacker email, the hacker password, and click to log in. So the scenario is visiting the site to sign in. So you'll visit the root path. We'll click the link sign in, fill in those sign-in fields, and expect the page to have the content signed in successfully. That's an automatic message that Devise gives us. Back to our text editor, we will make that new file. So we'll go to Spec, Features, and make a new file. And I like to go ahead and save it right away. So we go ahead and save, and let's call it signin_spec.rb. And now we will include the spec that I've written. And there it is, and let's save it. And then, as always, the first step is to run the spec so that we make sure that it is written correctly. There's nothing wrong with the actual spec. So back to our terminal, let's paste in that. So it's our spec, and then features, and then the name of the actual spec. And this is how we run just one spec. So again, we're hoping that we get a failure and that it doesn't blow up at us to say that, no, you didn't write something correctly, you're missing something. So we want to make sure that it's written correctly. And yay, we get a failure. So let's scroll up and see it says it's missing the click link, the sign in. So it's missing the sign in link. And so that's where we'll start in trying to make this spec pass. To start making that spec pass, we're going to use Devise to generate our new model with Rails generate, or Rails G, Devise hacker. This will create a model if one does not already exist and configure it with the default Devise modules. The generator also configures your config routes file to point to the Devise controller. So we're going to use this and then check out that migration file to see what it's about. Into our terminal, we will copy that command and let it roll. Takes just a moment. Let's check this out. So it's created the migration file as well as the model. And then ffaker has made that new factory that we can go back and modify. And you see it's made that route as well. Back to our text editor, let's check out that migration file. So we see here Devise has included email and password as well as the other standard modules, rememberable and trackable. You can always uncomment out confirmable and lockable if you would like to include those modules as well. Let's go ahead and rake db:/migrate to add that new model. And there we go. Next up is to add the HTML to actually add the link to sign in. So we will also add the class notice and the class alert as was recommended in the Devise setup. So we're going to put this in application layout, and that's where you usually put things for sign in and sign up so that they are on every page. Moving back to our text editor, we'll go to App, Views, Layouts, Application, and we'll put this in the body section. Now usually you'll actually render maybe a whole header file, but today we are just going to include it right into the application layout. All right, let's run that spec again and see where we are, see what progress we have made. So it's running, And we get another failure, but let's look and see what it's saying this time. It's saying something new, so that's progress. It's saying that, we have a problem with this factory girl line, that the email can't be blank and the password can't be blank. So that means we haven't really set up our factory yet, and so that's the next step. Let's look at creating that factory. So a lot of this will be in the file already. The two lines we want to look at are actually email and password, and that's where we will use ffaker. We'll use ffaker to create an email address so we know it'll be in the correct format and it'll be new every time. Now we're going to use Devise to create the password so that we will know it will pass. Jumping back to our text editor, let's go ahead back to Spec, Factories, and here's that file that was created. So all we need to include are the two new lines for email and password. And go ahead and save. So let's run that spec one more time, and hopefully we will get a pass this time, since we've now corrected that. Yes, and we do. Woohoo! Now I challenge you to create a spec for signing up. It doesn't involve ffaker or factory girl, but it's a great thing to do. Thanks so much for watching this episode of RubySnacks. I hope you now know how to use factory girl and ffaker in some of your specs. Just a reminder, if you haven't already gotten the Get Launching mini course and cheat sheet, you can click this button here to sign up and get your own so that you know how to launch your new app with ease. And of course, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can be notified when new videos are launched. And check out my website, rubythursday.com, and be sure to sign up for the mailing list so you get Ruby Thursday awesomeness in your inbox every week. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a comment, any questions, anything that you need clarification, please leave a comment below. See you soon.